Let's talk about the 5 productivity myths that might be holding you back. Starting with the myth number 1. Treating productivity as an end goal. Wanting to be productive is an absolutely natural human desire. We all want to make something out of our lives. We all want to achieve something. It is also a scientifically proven fact that ticking off items on our to-do list gives us this huge boost of dopamines, huge boost of these happiness hormones that creates the feedback loop that makes us want to be even more productive. However, what I often see in the productivity community is that after a while, people start mistaking the means of achieving their goal for the goal itself. In other words, they start treating productivity as an end goal, and it's probably not the best headspace to be in because our lives are meant to be lived, to be experienced. However you define your own meaning of life, for some people it might be love, for some people it might be their children, their family, for some people it might be their calling, for some people it might be social justice, whatever it is. There are so many variations, but again, life is meant to be lived. When you're viewing your life through the lens of one tool, which is productivity, you're very much limiting your chances at enjoying it. There are times to be productive, like at work or when you're doing house chores, and there are times when you want to drop this whole mentality, like when you're on a date. When you're on a date, you probably don't want to check your watch every 5 minutes to see if you're progressing according to your schedule, but you just want to enjoy the whole experience. Or on your day off. Maybe when you have a day off, instead of creating a long to-do list, like you have to read and go for a walk and clean and call your family and do self-care and I don't know, cook a meal for yourself and watch a movie and all that sort. Maybe instead of doing that, you should rather focus on being present in the moment and doing whatever pops up in your mind. So if your main goal at this stage of your life is simply being productive, then perhaps now is the time to take a break and ask yourself, what for? What are you really trying to achieve? And then do that.
And start treating productivity as a tool and not as an end goal.
Moving on to the myth number 2. Having a one-size-fits-all mentality. It seems that we're all accustomed to the idea that people are different. We all have different needs, different backgrounds, different resources. However, when you go online and you see all of these productivity influencers with their strikingly similar lifestyles, it's hard not to believe that you too need to wake up at 5:30, deep clean your apartment weekly, and exercise ideally 5 times a week. But do you really? I'm not trying to say that productivity influencers are bad. In fact, I'm a huge fan of many of these influencers myself, but it's good to remember that these people's routines represent only 1%, maybe even less than that, of all the possible options. Your productivity routine, whether it's morning routine, night routine, daily routine, weekly routine, should be always tailored to your needs. Of course, there are some universal rules. If you want to feel well, if you want to be well, then you will have to consider your diet, how much water you drink, your sleep, your exercise routine, and your stress levels. These 5 components will remain the same, but the details will vary and depend on the person. Some people need more carbs in their diet because they lead a very active lifestyle and they're training for a marathon and whatnot, and some people thrive when they have more fat and less carbs in their diet. Some people need 6 hours of sleep to feel refreshed, and some people can only survive off 9. So yes, there are universal rules, but the details and all this finery will depend on you. So next time you feel like, yes, waking up at 5:30 will fix my entire life, perhaps a better approach would be to take a step back, reassess your current life situation, your needs, your goals, and only after that commit to your routine. Moving on to the myth number 3. Downplaying the importance of rest. I treat rest as sacred, not only because it makes you more productive, which it really does, but also because it kind of contributes to this whole idea of living your life. Mind you, Rest is not only about getting a sufficient amount of sleep, but it also refers to spending time with your friends and having a hobby and spending time by yourself in silence and being in nature and trying out new things every now and then, all of which are super important for your well-being. So if you haven't been persuaded yet, going forward, I really want you to hyperfixate on dedicating enough time in your schedule for rest. In practice, it can look like having 1 or 2 days off per week. You can have some scheduled activities on these days, like whatever plans you make with your friends, or otherwise you can freestyle, aka you just do whatever you feel like doing in the moment. Moving on to the myth number 4. Saying yes to way too many projects. Being busy is not a virtue. In fact, it's one of the key triggers for burnout. I know, there is economic pressure, there are toxic bosses, toxic colleagues, all of these are real, and all of them are contributing to our never-ending to-do list. But how often do you say no at work? How often when someone asks you if you can take on one more project, you say, no, I can't? How often do you say no to your friends or even to your own projects? I'm definitely guilty of being overexcited and coming up with way too many ideas only to realize that there are only 24 hours in a day. When you focus on way too many projects at once, you spread yourself thin, and when you spread yourself thin, you end up with mediocre results, and mediocre results is usually not what people want. Unless, of course, mediocre results is what you're after, then please ignore this whole idea altogether. Productivity shouldn't mean being busy all the time or constantly doing something, but instead it should be about focusing on what truly matters. Focusing on 1 to 3 bigger projects is a way superior and also way more sustainable way of achieving your goals and being productive. So when you get overly excited about your next brilliant idea, or somebody else gets you excited about their brilliant idea, perhaps it's time to say, not now. Moving on to the final myth. Sticking to the same routine forever and ever and ever. Your routine should evolve with you. I definitely made a mistake of sticking to the same routine even when the realities of my life have evolved past the point of where these two were matching. Of course, there were no drastic consequences, I didn't ruin my life or anything, but I didn't really enjoy my routine. And what's the point of having a routine if it doesn't add to your life? So instead of sticking to the good old ways, I want you to continuously review your routine, your tool stack, maybe even your goals, and make adjustments where necessary. Just don't turn it into another task on your to-do list, but rather, when you feel like something is missing, or when you would like to trial a new routine, a new tool, make some time in your schedule for it. For myself, I can say that in the past 6 months, my routine has changed 3 or 4 times, and it keeps changing. There are days when I'm more energetic and so I can do more, and so I do more, and then there are days when I'm less energetic and so I do only the bare minimum and don't try to squeeze every single ounce of energy out of myself. Again, the whole point of a productivity routine is improving your life, not being an obstacle to it. And this is it. These are the 5 productivity myths that might be holding you back. I hope you found this video useful and are now improving your routine in one way or another. As always, I wish you a great day and I will see you next time. Bye bye.